First of all, Siddhant, massive
Yeah,
congratulations. 715,
thanks a lot.
99 percentile score. And in
Yeah,
30 minutes time, you informed Richa that you got the score. So I'm really expecting that this must have been like
yeah,
super exciting for you when you saw the score. So 715, we're looking
yeah,
at Quant 97th percentile. Verbal had dropped a bit
yeah,
to 70th percentile, and data
yes,
insight on the 99th
yes,
percentile. So, and
yes.
straight after 20 minutes, I think you see the timestamp, you actually messaged Richa as well. So, what was your
Yeah, I
first of
messaged
feeling?
Isha immediately.
Yeah, what was the first of feeling when you
Yeah,
look at the score?
yeah. So when I saw the score, I was actually a bit stunned on the DI part.
Okay,
So what had happened was in all the mocks that I gave, I used to miss the last question in DI. It used to get either wrong or I would have finished the time before that. So DI was the section which I was most worried about because I had seen Quant was going pretty good in all the mocks. I used to have at least 5 or 6 minutes time when Quant questions would have ended. Even in verbal, what I had noticed was I was doing decent, not that good, but what I had thought was I'll do Quant and DI pretty great. Verbal could be balanced so that overall score would be good.
right.
So DI was the one which I was most worried, and in all the mocks I used the same sequence: first Quant, then DI, then verbal, and I used to take a break after DI. So even when I gave the actual exam, post quant and DI, I was really exhausted in the break. And I just had this feeling midway during the verbal part that I just want to finish this as soon as possible. Maybe that was the reason why I got 2 or 3 questions wrong in the verbal part at the end. But when I saw the score, it was a very big relief for me because this was something which I really wanted, that my quant and DI go pretty great. And somewhat, I don't know if it is, everything went well that day.
Right,
It's just
right.
that key. Yeah, in all the mocks it was either quant, some part I was missing, DI, some part I was missing, verbal. This was when the test came, all the three clicked.
Right, right. So
Yeah,
essentially, in the if you recollect, how many questions did you get wrong in all of these section? Do you remember?
yeah. So I guess quant, I got two wrong or one. Quant or DI, just one or two were wrong, and verbal five were wrong.
So
Yeah.
you
No,
could
I'll
just let us
start
know.
your.
Yes. So Siddharth, please just go ahead and tell about yourself. What are you currently
Hmm.
doing? As in, what is your qualification,
Hmm.
education qualification currently? What are you doing? And how did this entire MBA journey stem up? Like, is there some influencer or somebody who influenced, so you possibly looked at, and or is it like, you wanted this all the time, and how did GMAT and top 1% happen to you from the very beginning?
Yeah. So I'll start. So post my undergrad, I completed my undergrad from DTU, and I did my bachelor's in computer engineering. So I was from an engineering stream. I have been working at Visa currently for 2 years as a software engineer. So at one point of time, maybe around when I completed an year at Visa, post that I had this thing that, okay, I mean, I'm good at this. I have been doing this, but I really don't see myself doing this for uh, 2 or 3 more years down the line, because I had this thing that I want to go for a master's abroad. Initially, my aim was to go for a master's in finance last year, at least. Post that, when I gave the GMAT, I was in a bit of a hurry last year because around the same time, July or August last year, I had started thinking about the GMAT. I was not aware of the process of the whole exam or anything. Around November or December, I had contacted O3 earlier itself that, okay, I'm planning to give the GMAT and I'm planning to apply for these programs. So he was very clear that once you give the GMAT, I'll be able to help you directly. So regarding top 1%, then I got to know from a friend that, okay, they have a very good uh, tutor in Sandeep sir, and all the mocks, all the questions, all the resources that you have, it is comprehensive. So I took the self-paced plan around December last year, and I started studying very religiously post that. Now, Jan, Feb, since I was also working side by side, I had to balance both my job and the exam prep. So I used to devote a bit less time on weekdays. Some weekends I could devote more time, but it was still a bit, I had to manage both things.
Hmm.
So it took me around 6 months then to follow the entire plan that Top 1% has, starting with the uh, basic course, then the foundation, then the lives, and then the marathon. All I went through all. I have been doing all the questions that have been there in the live classes, and even post that the 700 to 800 questions specifically that Sandeep sir mentions in the end, that okay, this is what you need to do. And once the material was done, what I found very very important was the speed and the timing that I needed to improve on. Because even though I had went through the entire resource, when I gave my first mock, my score was 645. This was last month, the start of last month itself, around June. When I gave my first mock, it was 645. And the only thing was that I used to miss a lot of questions in the end, even though used to know, okay, how to solve this, what is the answer, but my speed was not up to the mark.
Right.
And the thing which Sandeep sir has mentioned is that you need to start time practice once you are done with the course. And once you are done, then the speed matters, not your understanding. Then the speed and the accuracy is the most important part in the GMAT, because it's not that tough an exam. It is more about your discipline. It's more about doing maximum easy questions right, and even getting the wrong ones, at least not consecutively wrong. Even then, you will be doing great. So once I started with the time practice, I used to give sectionals every day. All the sectional tests, it was alternatively, I used to give every day at least one sectional. And then once I was done with sectional test, I started the mocks. So I have given around 6 or 7 mocks till now, and all the sectional tests. So this has been my experience that the most important part in this exam is speed itself.
Speed.
You can get everything else right, but if you fail on speed, you will not be able to get through it.
Right. So, very
Yeah,
simple question here. You are a computer science engineer, so it's safe to assume when I say
yeah,
this that math and the quant and the DI must have seemed a little easier than verbal. I mean, that also shows in the
yeah,
score that
yep,
we've seen. Was that the case? I mean,
yeah.
even in through the practice, did it come as a shocker saying that, oh man, I mean, although I was good at, quant, did it turn out to be anything surprising at that time in through the preparation?
Yeah, one thing which I noticed through the preparation was, okay, even though I was really good at quant, and being from a CS background, I could do DI also well. But somewhere or the other, I was making very, very silly mistakes. I did not used to read the question that correctly, and I used to get trapped in a lot of questions. And going through those questions regularly made me understand that, okay, these questions seem easy at a point, but actually they are there only to trap you, and these questions are the one which you definitely need to get correct.
Right.
This awareness was there only post solving those questions, and only post getting those right, that I got to know, okay, quant and DI may be very easy for me comparatively to what verbal is, but it is not something which I can take for granted, okay, that
Right.
I'll definitely get a good score. I
Right.
need to give enough time to quant, DI, verbal, all three. Only then I can get a good score. When I started the prep, I had even mentioned Pricha that, okay, can I get a specific plan only for verbal?
Uh,
So she said to me that no, no such thing exists. It is the entire three sections that you need to focus on.
no, but if
Yeah,
you look back on it, if perhaps if you hadn't mastered the way you had to master verbal, DI would also have been challenging, especially in this exam. You
actually,
have this MSR and very comprehensive passages that would come there. It would have been very difficult. I mean, you
actually,
scored a phenomenal score, even in the DI. So, I mean, if you look back, especially to the questions that generally a lot of people come up earlier, probably you could have done with only verbal, only quant type of a preparation. But now with DI being, so such a significant importance that if something is, let's say a challenging area, the DI will anyways affect. So if quant is challenging, DI will affect. Verbal is challenging, DI will affect. So how did you manage, especially the DI part, given that RC was challenging in the beginning, let's say, or verbal was challenging in the beginning?
yeah. Yeah, actually, I have seen this that you take DI as a separate section, but DI is actually a mix of both quant and verbal.
Correct.
It is not something which you can prep on separately. Once your quant and verbal are done, then you go to DI, and then definitely you will feel that okay, DI is something which is dependent on both of these. It's
Correct.
not that okay, I'll be able to solve one section of DI, be it MSR, be it two-part reasoning, be it data sufficiency. You need to have a good grasp on both quant and verbal. Only then you can get DI right. And DI also being the lowest scoring, I've seen the average percentile is the average score is the lowest in DI across all
Right.
three sections.
Right.
Meaning that if you get the DI very well, then your score automatically goes very well.
Right.
So I always had this thing that okay, I will practice more questions in DI because the questions after a point of time in DI are not that challenging, but you somehow when the question is first presented to you, you get intimidated by it.
Because you haven't seen
So DI,
even
I would say it is definitely more about practice.
intimidating, even because there are five different types of question which are not the
Yes,
regular type. The regular type of question is single
yes,
option, and here you will suddenly see the answer option within the question itself. So, and you'll have like to choose three options, four options correct within the questions. Yeah. So yes, that definitely
actually.
you had to add.
So even in DI, the only question, only section which I have gotten my questions wrong this time has been data sufficiency. Apart from that, I think all the other sections I have gotten all the questions right. Even in quant, it has been the case that I got one wrong in modulus inequalities, maybe.
Right. You were aware of it,
Yep.
surely. That's a beauty of
Yeah.
GMAT. Once you've aced a certain subject, you will know where you've gone wrong.
Yes.
And you just do not want to
Yes.
settle.
Yes. That
We've
is
had
there.
a student who says that, I know where I've made a mistake. I've got a 725, but I want to retake. We don't want to settle once you know the mistake. So going into the
I
preparation, uh,
actually, yeah,
yeah, you
yeah.
also had the same feeling?
I Yeah, I even when the test was done, right, I was looking at the screen for more than a minute. And I was actually interrupted and told, okay, your test is done, you can go now. Because I was actually quite happy that, okay, this is done now. I can move ahead with my application. I've gotten a 7.5, which is sufficient for. And specifically, DI was the part which I was checking, okay, is it really 99 percentile in DI?
So you were, yeah, I think many of them had this moment, like, is it even real? Because
Yeah.
you don't get the score. Previously, you used to get the score, at least unofficial would
Yes.
get it
Now
printed
you just, yeah, you just get it for 30 seconds or a minute
for a
maybe.
visual point.
That's all.
Then,
And
and
if
then you'll
you,
have to process it until the next two
yeah,
days if it is real or not, right? So I can completely get that feeling.
yes.
Now, going to each of the practice material that was ahead of you, so be it the study plan that Sir had for you in the self-paced course, or the error logs and the materials and the mock test, how does this entire thing come into play? Did you change any bit of preparation, or did you follow the study plan as is?
No, no, I wouldn't say that I have changed it. I had followed most of the parts as much as I can. For the error log, I would say if I would have started the error log much earlier, I could have given the test also much earlier. I used to have this thing that okay, I'll just do the questions, I'll see whatever is going wrong in the sessions and then figure out. But as soon as I started maintaining an error log, okay, this section, this thing is going wrong, this thing is going wrong. I became more aware of my mistakes subconsciously also that okay, this is what I need to improve on, and specifically, this is what I need to improve on. It's not that I'm getting a lot of questions wrong, but the ones which I used to fail on or make a mistake were repeating often. So only then I got to know, okay, even an error log has to be maintained no matter how much I have this. Okay, okay, I'll get this right. But following the process is what is more important, I felt. And the process which Sandeep sir has mentioned, I would say it is actually completely holistic. And I don't think so. You need to do anything else. If you follow that process, I think there's nothing better.
Right, very comprehensive, especially.
Yeah.
So, no, the reason why I asked is because you mentioned quant was stronger. Did you, try and change a bit, really focusing on verbal, or did you just go with the flow? Is what, because there's a lot of tendency that some student, and Sandeep, in fact, in your orientation also tells that, look, you need to follow this plan, which will guarantee so that you don't have to really, struggle through or do anything else. But if and then he tells you that you are free to even change a bit as well in the orientation. So
Hmm.
did you do that
Yeah.
any bit? Yeah.
Yeah. So for the quant part, I would agree that I had skipped a few things in the starting. At least
Mm.
the basics part I used to skip because I thought, okay, even the sectional test, when I gave the first sectional test for quant, it was not that bad. I got around 15 correct in the first sectional test itself. So I thought, okay, there are only few gaps that I need to fill. So quant was also the section which I started last. I started with verbal, I finished verbal, and then after DI, I thought, okay, quant can also be improved a bit. I need to focus on quant also. Because initially, at least till 3 or 4 months, my only plan was, okay, I need to fix my verbal, fix my verbal, fix my verbal. That
Right.
was the only thing that I had in mind. Because this was also because why my previous GMAT attempt had failed was the same reason that I did not get my verbal right. So I had this key, no matter what I do, I'll have to get my verbal right first. Only then I can focus on other things.
Okay. So initially,
So yeah, so verb, yeah,
yeah. So initially, was it in verbal also? Because you mentioned that speed was a problem. Was it speed
yeah,
always, or conceptual level? Maybe you had a little, trouble in, identifying some of the, because speed will automatically be taken care if the concepts are clear or the strategy is clear, right? Octave, that technique,
yeah,
if you get the opinion of the author, if you understand the attitude or the tonality of the passage, it's easier to kind of pick and choose the questions that are there. But so it took a little longer time. Was it you fixing the concepts, or were you fixing the time right from the very beginning?
yeah. So the most important thing that I felt was the octave, the whole octave thing which is being taught. It is there to become a very subconscious part of your problem solving process. When I started practicing, I used to always think, okay, how to apply octave? How do I apply octave in this? Okay, this is the opinion, this is the contradiction, whatever it is. But after a point of time, when I started solving more and more RC passages, so there are live sessions which have at least, okay, 10 questions which are there in each session. Then you have 700 to 800 passages. Then there are specific questions only for primary purpose, specific questions only for inference. So once you went through that whole set, that whole octave thing, it becomes ingrained in you. You don't need to be that conscious. Okay, I need to apply. It will automatically be there once you have solved that the number of questions. Even on the conceptual part, with critical reasoning, I felt okay, I was not able to identify how to even approach this question, be it boldface or wherever I had this assumption or weakening questions. I used to think, okay, I'll do it just based on my common sense. But that is not the case. You need to apply the process, then only you can get the question. What I felt was ki, even though when I used to solve the questions, okay, I'll get this right when I'm doing it without a timer, or I'll take 5 minutes for a question, then I'm able to do it. But eventually what happens is when you give the test on the day, you don't have that liberty, and when you give that test, you are already, one more thing which I felt was, you are already exhausted after giving two sections. If you have chosen verbal as the last section, you will be exhausted after a moment. And what matters is, in that state of mind, if you're able to solve those questions or not. In that state of mind, are you able to apply octave, or in that state of mind, you're able to uh, think about each question with that mindset. So that only comes when you've already solved a lot of questions, and that becomes a part of. If you just think that I'll solve few questions, go through the sessions and give the exam, that will definitely not work,
Very
because
important.
you have to be in that state of mind. Yeah,
Very important thing that you said, really getting that state of mind, and that comes with practice. One practicing a lot becomes like a
yeah,
muscle memory. That's what a lot of it's subconscious level पे भी build हो जाता है. You know, you have it in your muscle memory practicing.
uh,
And the other thing is that practicing when you're in your absolute worst state of mind, then makes the exam go breezy. So like
Actually,
very tired and you give a mock then or a test then can make things better. How many questions have you done for each section? Or like how many questions
hmm.
have you practiced for RC, for CR, for DS, PS, and IR?
Okay, so for RC, I would say I've at least solved 200 passages, if not less, because uh, yeah, 200 was at least the minimum that I would have solved. That is the number which I can approximately guess. Even for CR, I would say each section in CR, okay, be it questions that are flaw, that are weakened assumption. For each section, I would say I've at least solved more than 70 to 80 questions per section. That is
Okay,
at least the minimum. I would say that these all are apart from the mock test that I've given.
right.
Apart from that, that is how much I have solved. For quant specifically, each section I have solved more on the probability and permutation and combination side, because that was one section which I felt I was a bit weak on. So I would say ki more 50 to 60 questions on these two sections. For the others, I would only give the sectional test and the mocks that were there. For the data sufficiency part, I have solved a lot of questions, at least 100, if not more. For the questions which are there on the, there is a section on the portal which has some IR uh, tests or something. So I have solved a few of them as well. So more or less, even for DI, each section, I would say at least 70 to 80 questions, at least for each section, I have solved, apart from the mock test.
So, Siddhant, how was your overall experience using the mock portal? I'm sure you would have used the
Yeah.
official mock as well. The entire effort by the faculty, by Sandeep sir, was to ensure that the UI UX also remains as close to what the GMAT exam will be. So
Yes.
there's even the text size, we've
Yes.
taken that effort. So how important did that play a part in your preparation? And also the support, like in terms of the faculty, if you did get a chance to ask questions whenever you needed them, or did you take any
Yep.
strategy guidance by the faculty? So would you just elaborate on
Yep.
that?
Yeah, I would say no, absolutely no difference in what the mock portal is there and the actual test. You will feel that, okay, I'm giving the same. When you go and give the test, you will feel, okay, this is the exact same interface that I had when I was giving the mock. And actually, that is the whole point of the mock test, right? That it should make you feel comfortable when you're giving the actual exam. You should feel that it's just a normal another mock test that I'm giving. You should not feel intimidated by the exam, that okay, this is something else, what I did in the mock was something else. It is absolutely identical to what the GMAT actually is. You can say a bit, okay, maybe the adaptive thing, I don't know how does it work, but I did not feel that okay, it was not adaptive or questions were of the same level. It is of varying level, and you feel that. And even that, the score that comes at the end, even that is very reflective of your performance. You will not feel that okay, I scored less or more. It is reflective of what your actual score will be. I've even given the official mocks, I felt the same. I didn't feel any difference in what the mocks that were there in the portal and the one which were there in the GMAT's official site. The mocks were actually a very, very important part of my preparation. And if not for mocks, I would not have gotten that confidence to solve those questions in the actual exam.
And so
Yep.
I was told even by Richa that, you initially mentioned, first of all, our mocks are very difficult in terms of the questions. You might have seen, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And she also mentioned that the highest mark that you scored was about 695. Is that what you said? And then, you gave
666. I got 6675 in the mock. Okay. That was the best mock that I had given for the top from top 1%. I got 675. In the official mock, I had gotten a 685 score. So I was a bit skeptical that okay, maybe on the exam day I can improve 10 points, 685, 695, maybe. But even in those mocks, I noticed the pattern. It was more about noticing a pattern that okay, after giving these many mocks, these sections are the one which I need to focus more. Maybe the score will be 10 or 20 points above or below. But the sections which I need to focus, I was able to identify with those mocks.
it right.
And I think that based on DI's performance in each and every mock, I knew that okay, DI is the most important part for me specifically. When I give the exam, if my DI goes well, the overall score will be definitely be above 700. That is pretty sure.
Right, right, right. So that's I
Yep.
mean it's a good one there. I mean more importantly, more important part of this is that you need to be you have to reflect back, introspect, and really identify the pattern, just like you said. Otherwise, the confidence when to actually go ahead and give the GMAT, that will never come up. Now, in terms of the
Yep.
support, how did the support at Top 1%, the faculty support come out through you, and how did it help in your preparation?
No, no, I would say that they are very easy to reach. And I specifically, I would not say that I have been reaching out to them that frequently, but whenever I needed any help, any sort of guidance, the support was there. It was always there. It was not something which I used to feel, okay, will they respond? Should I even talk to them? That was always there.
So the
So regarding the
self-paced
support that is
was
there,
self-sufficient, you would say.
sorry.
The self-paced course was self-sufficient, that you didn't really have too many doubts to ask.
Yeah. Actually, most of the doubts which I had, it was always covered in the sessions that the recorded sessions that were there. So I did not really felt that, even though whenever you feel that okay, you can reach out, I did not have personally that think that okay, I have a lot of confusion after the session has ended. I used to have a lot of questions once I did the problems that were given. Post that, I used to have a lot of doubts, but most of the those doubts would be cleared by the end of the session when I used to watch that completely. Okay, these are the things which I had a doubt on, and all of these are covered.
Right, right. So, on the
Yep,
test day, right, you've already mentioned the order of the test that you took. You try to take the tests that are more comfortable for you, like the sections, and then you kept the verbal
yep,
at the end. Now, if you look
yeah.
back, do you think you should have taken up verbal somewhere in the beginning or in the middle, if you look back, or had you planned this all
Uh,
through in your mocks as well?
no, no, this was something which I had planned. I thought ki the reason why I gave verbal at the end was because of that break that I have. Okay, once I go into the break, I'll take a bit of a rest and then I'll be able to solve verbal again. But the only point of giving verbal at the end was once I gave quant and DI, I had that confidence in me that okay, now I can go ahead and solve verbal also.
Right,
The probability of things going wrong in quant and DI was much lower than what it could be in verbal.
you're right,
If the case had been that I had given verbal earlier and then quant or DI, there could have been a chance that if my verbal could be a bit not that up to the mark, then I would mess up in quant and DI also.
right.
So I went ahead with my strongest aspect first and then followed it with the rest.
Yeah, so that's a good move in a way to follow your strong suit. All right. Now,
Yep.
anything on the exam day that you found that some of the questions that you did, especially on a verbal, because quant you said, uh,
Yeah.
right,
So regarding the exam day, what I felt was I used to give all my mocks at around 12 or 1 in the afternoon.
right,
So this thing I had followed that I'll be giving my mocks at the exact same timing when I have to give the exam. This was something which was very clear because I had this thing that if I give it an evening or early morning, I would not be that active in solving the questions.
right, right,
So this thing I had in my mind that I'll be giving the mocks at the same time when I have my test. Apart from that, no such thing that I specifically followed. I was just in a very calm state of mind when I went to the exam center. The previous day, I did not really try to solve a lot of questions. I just looked through a few of the questions in each section, okay, one or two, and that's it. I did not try to overdo in the last few days because there's not really much that you can do on the last day. If your preparation has been well throughout the 6 months or the 3 months time that you have, you should not be doing that on the last day. It will stress you out a lot. One thing which I would say is that try to have a good sleep before you give the exam, and that was just what I followed.
So anything off in the exam questions that you in the exam day on the exam day, do you find something out of the box or any unusual type of question, or you were familiar with all the questions and you were
No, no, I was absolutely familiar. I really did not feel any difference when I was giving the test. It was actually just another. I just gave it as another mock, another test for me. I did not feel that something was there which I had not seen earlier. there was nothing like that.
Right. So this has been, amazing in terms of what you've shared. So if you have to encapsulate everything into maybe, some of the do's and some of the don'ts
Yeah.
for any student who is maybe starting out or who is midway or, closer to the end of the preparation, what are some of the key things, maybe one or more in do's and in don'ts, for the GMAT preparation, you would say?
Okay. So do's would definitely be number one would be, okay, get familiar with the concept as fast as you can and solve. I would say the only way you can get familiar with every concept is by solving questions. If you just go through the video lectures, you will not learn much. You will have to start solving as much as you can. The first step is doing that. The second step would be to again then get into a state where you are doing time practice, that you are following a timer every time you are seeing a question. You are not giving too much time to each question, because you have to be aware of this a lot. In the test also, there are few questions where you get stuck in a question for 5 or 6 minutes. That
Right,
cannot be the case when you give the actual GMAT, because if you do that, you will mess up the rest of the questions.
right,
So this thing you should be very, very aware of. This is more of a don't, which you don't need to do. That don't get stuck on a question for a long period of time. You can still mark it and go ahead with the next questions. uh, One more thing is that start giving at least the sectional test earlier than you can, because at least give one sectional each to evaluate where you are, and that is very helpful in seeing, okay, what I need to improve on.
right.
Evaluating your performance is there. And in don'ts, I would say don't try to time where when you need to give the exam. Until unless you are completely prepared, you should not do that. You should first at least give a mock, then see what your score is, and if you can still, okay, improve on that for a few next few days, months, then only schedule the test. You should not try to time that, okay, I'll give the test on this day, by that time I'll finish my preparation. That usually does not happen. You should be first following the preparations, and then once you are in a state where, okay, you are comfortable with the score that you have, with the preparation that you have been doing, only then go for booking the GMAT. That is a very important thing that I feel. And more on the don'ts is, yeah, like don't try to be irregular with your uh, preparation. That if you are, even if you are working professional, try to at least take out 1 or 2 hour each day, no matter how difficult it is. Because see, some days you will have more time, you can follow the steps more, the whole preparation guide. But even when on the days when you don't have that much time, when you can't do, still try to devote as little time as you have. Don't be inconsistent with your preparation, is what I think is also very important.
Right. You've been bang on with all these points. I mean, Sandeep sir has been telling this in many of his webinars as well, especially you might have. But when it comes from you as a student who, been on the other side and, now look back
Yeah,
on what are the things that really helped you get that score, it validates whatever sir has been trying to say as a mentor, right? Really, thank you so much
absolutely.
for sharing. I hope a lot of people who'd be watching this or ever seeing this would be inspired to go
Yes.
in the right direction and really trust the process through. So what is the future plan for Siddhant? What next? Are you applying this year with this score? Because it's a fantastic score and you can really
Yeah.
apply to any school of your choice. But is it this year or are you applying next year? What schools?
No, no. Yeah, I'm planning to apply this year itself. Based on the schools, I am still to have a decision yet. I am planning to apply for 2 schools in the UK and rest 4, or at least 4 in the US. And I'm planning to go for a complete MBA, full-time MBA. So I'm looking at LBS, I'm looking at Oxford, I'm looking at Berkeley. These are the few options which I want. And apart from that, maybe some other options, maybe Duke also. And I'll see. I still have to make a decision on these schools that I apply on. So yeah,
You
that
still have
is
time. It's
going to happen
upcoming.
now. And I
Yeah. You still
yeah,
have the time. You're applying in the round one itself, I'm guessing, because then you'll also want to, get some good scholarship as well.
yeah. So I won't say that I have much time, but yeah, I am in a state where, okay, I can complete the whole application in a good manner.
Yeah, right, right. So, looking forward
Yeah,
to seeing that admit. We'll stay connected on LinkedIn. I would be extremely happy to
yeah,
see once, maybe 3, 4 months down the line, once you have this score and you're ready to
yeah,
announce, we'll be extremely grateful. Sandeep sir I have to tell this because he's not here right now. I would like to, pass
yeah,
on this message on behalf of him. Sandeep sir and the entire team of Top 1%, including the faculty, are extremely proud, and we're so grateful that, we were a part of your journey. A lot of things would change next year this time, and we're so happy that, we could pivot that for you. Thank you so much for sharing this insight.
yeah.
Thank you
And
for
equally,
being available. Yes,
yeah. Yeah, actually, this was the least that I could do, and I am really, really thankful to the entire Top 1% team also, because without this whole preparation, that whole study material, be it whatever, not just one specific thing, the whole package that is there, I don't think that I could have aced the GMAT. I had tried doing it on myself, and I did not get that good a score. So I know okay, this is the process that I need to follow. So I'm really, really thankful to the entire top percent team.
absolutely. When Richa shared the score, it also shows
Yeah,
that, you did have her as your accountability partner, for someone to actually go back and say and
yeah,
share this part of the information that you've been
yeah,
really doing it for 6 months. Not easy, right? 6 months
yes,
you're at it, and then someone to just go and share this. It feels so good to be a part. I mean, she was over the moon sharing this story with all
actually,
of us. And I'm sure, you had a fantastic facilitator and an accountability partner in her as well, right? Yeah. So glad that,
yep, yep.
it
I,
overall came to a score of a 750.
so
Great, great score, I would say. All right. Thank you so much.
thanks for, yep,
Thank you again.
yep,
So we'll connect again separately. Okay. I'll talk to you very soon. Okay.
sure.
You.